Shalom. Did you know that Christ was a so-called black man? If he's a so-called black man in the scriptures, why do they depict him as a white man? Right? Why do we see the white image of Christ? Right? Why do we always see this image? Huh? But the Bible, when you read in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14, right? It says his head and his hairs were white like wool. Come take a walk with me real quick. It says his head and his hairs were white like wool, right? And it said it was as white as the snow, right? So what nation of people on this earth have woolly hair, right? You look around, only the so-called black man, right? He has woolly hair on this earth and a woolly beard. And it said it was white in color like an older man, right? Did y'all know that Christ was a so-called black man according to the scriptures? All according to Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14. All right. Right, he had hair like wool, as white as snow, right? The only nation of people on this earth that have woolly hair is so-called black people, right? Am I correct? If Christ had woolly hair, right, and then it said his skin was like unto fine brass, right? Brass is a brownish color, right? Let me get my body. Just check this out real quick. It says his head, and this Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So he had red eyes. The whites of his eyes were red. One of his first miracles was he turned water into wine, right? He drank wine in moderation. Anytime we drink wine, the whites of our eyes turn red, right? And it says, and his feet like unto fine brass, right? The color of his feet, the top of your feet, it's the same color as your legs, your stomach, and your face, right? Right? So it said his feet look like fine brass. We know that's a derivative of brown, right? As if they burned in a furnace. So not only was he brown, it looked like he burned in a furnace. So he was a very dark brown man, right? So why do we get this image right here that we've seen all of our life? Why do we get this image when that image is not explained in the Bible? Now the image below that would be the so-called black Christ. Right? So we're trying to ask, like, why is that? Why do we have that image? You know? Do you understand why? Or can you give me an answer why? Okay. Can't give me an answer why. That's because they have been destroyed us and they took us from our heritage, right? And in Hebrews, let's see. Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 14. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing of concerning priesthood. So Christ was from the tribe of Judah, right? Today we're making the claim that the so-called black man in America is from the tribe of Judah. Today, if Christ walked this earth, he would be called a Negro, right? He would be a nigger, right? It's what they call us. Right, that's what they would be calling Christ. He would be a so-called African American, right? But those are not our names. The tribe, we come from the tribe of Israel. Right here, you got Judah, Benjamin, Levi, right? We're talking about the black man, the Jamaicans, right? The Mexicans. Those are a people of God. Those are the true Israelites according to the scriptures. But that heritage was taken away from us, right? Let me get I'm gonna get Jeremiah 17 and 4 real quick. I'm gonna show you that our heritage was taken away. It's Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. Right? To discontinue means to cut off, to quit. If they discontinue the Marber's milk in the grocery store, right? They're not gonna sell it no more. You know, so we discontinue from our heritage. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in a land which thou knowest not. Right? When we came over here on slave ships, we didn't know this land. Right? They discontinued us from our heritage, the clothes that we had, the foods that we ate, all the things that we did, our holy days that we celebrated. Right? We didn't know Christmas. Thanksgiving, all those things we learned up here, right? For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever, right? But this is talking about the Israelites, and the reason we got discontinued from our heritage is because we broke the commandments of God. right? We are the children of Israel. He gave us laws, statutes, and commandments, and we decided to break them. He said, if you keep my commandments, you will be blessed. If you disobey, you're going to be cursed. And we can read that in the scriptures. Deuteronomy chapter 15 and 28 and verse 15. It said, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So if we didn't listen to Moses in the wilderness, we were the same people who walked out of the Red Sea with Moses. He said, if you don't listen, these curses are going to come upon you and overtake you. This thus said the Lord through Moses, right? And you can read that, Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. But I'm going to show you the main point, how we know exactly who we are. This is how we know that we're the Israelites. And first, I'll keep it in context. Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. So Moses is speaking to the Israelites in the whole chapter of Deuteronomy. I go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Right? The first time the children of Israel were in slavery in Egypt, right? They were slaves. They were in bondage unto Pharaoh, right? But he said, I will send you into Egypt again. The children of Israel never went back into into Egypt as slaves as a whole again. So we got to figure out what that's saying. The Bible defines itself. So I get Exodus 20 and 2. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Right, so the Lord is telling you Egypt is bondage. He said, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Right, that's what it's talking about, the house of bondage. Another word for bondage is slavery. So this is how we put a stamp on, like, this is us right here. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, into bondage, into slavery again, with ships. Right? What nation of people went into slavery on slave ships? Right? The so-called black man, right? The Hispanics and the Native Americans, they went into slavery on slave ships. This is how we know this is who it's talking about. The so-called white man, they haven't gone through slavery on slave ships. The Asian man hasn't gone through slavery on slave ships. If you do not fit these curses, you are not the Israelites. That's why it said in verse 48, right? It said 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. It's talking about the curses. It would be upon us for a sign. Like I know how to get to the BBVA bank because I see that sign, I know how to get there. I see these curses, boom, those are the Israelites, I know how to get there. They went through slavery on slave ships. Their kids were taken from them, right? All that's in the scriptures. But I'm just scratching the surface right now. But it's because we didn't hearken unto the commandments, right? So that's why we out here to teach our people to come back to the commandments so the Lord can have mercy on us. Because right now he is not with us, according to Hosea chapter 5 and verse 15. It says, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense. So the Lord said he's going to go and return to his place. Right? He's just going to sit back and let the Israelites do their own thing, since that's what they want to do, right? And seek my face. In their affliction, they shall seek me early, right? So when we afflicted, when we came over here as slaves, we had our people in the slave fields hollering and screaming and crying out to the Lord. Lord, come help us. Lord, come save us. Our brothers out here getting shot down in the streets. We still hollering. We still marching up and down, protesting, right? We asking for the Lord to have mercy on us, right? But in order for him to have mercy, we got to come back to the commandments, right? The laws, statutes, and commandments were given to us. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 44, it says, and this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel, right? So Moses set the law before the children of Israel. That's why when we broke it, we got put into slavery. And that's why we have to serve our enemies now, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. It says, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger when we hungry, we're gonna want to go to Applebee's, Publix, Walmart, any grocery store you can name. Right? We got to go to our enemy because the Lord said, since you disobeyed, I'm gonna discontinue from your heritage. Everything that you own, all your clothes, all your foods that you had, you're gonna discontinue from that, right? Which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst. When we thirsty, when we want water, Dasani, Pepsi, right? Gatorade. When we want to pay our water bill, we got to go to our enemy. I can't go to my brother and pay a water bill to him, right? Because we got discontinued. And in nakedness, when we want clothing, we got to go to our enemy. We got to go to the Chinese man. We got to go to the so-called white man made in the USA. We can't go and say, have a label on our tag, say made in the hood. It's not going to say that, right? Is it? And in want of all things, driver's license, marriage certificate, a business license, right? Car tag. We got to go to our enemy for that. We can't go to our brothers for that. These are the curses that I'm reading that would happen to the Israelites. This is how we know who we are. And in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So that yoke of iron is a physical yoke of iron that it's talking about. And it said, until he have destroyed us. Not physically off the earth, but destroyed our mindset. Now we walk around, we think we're African Americans. When Africa and America are two different continents, right? Now we think that we're black men when we have brown skin. Right? Now we think that we're just niggas in America and we can walk around with our pants down and just do whatever we want.